Hi everyone, welcome to another video of our Java series. In this video, I'm going to discuss one of the very important topic on Enum, right? In our previous video, we have already seen what is Enum, what is the use case of Enum, and how to use Enum, what is the benefits of Enum, right? All these things we have already seen, and we also got to know that Enum is nothing but a constant, which is we cannot make changes, right? So those things we have seen. I recommend, if you guys did not gone through that video, the initial video, please go through that, and after that you will be able to understand here. In our previous video, we have discussed the enum and use cases. Now here in this video, I am going to discuss more on how to utilize the constructor inside of an enum, right? And also we'll be discussing about, let's say, how can I add a method inside of a enum, and then how can utilize those things, right? These are the main things that I'm going to discuss. Also we will be discussing that more on enum, more on identity, or what is the characteristics of enum, right? So this video is going to be very informative, guys. So let's begin. Right now, in our previous video, if I let give you a quick glimpse, so we have created one enum. Let's say I'm calling public, and I'll say that name of that enum is enum, and then I have said it like day, right? So this is the way I have created an enum. Let me give you a couple of enums. Let's say Sunday. I'll say Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, right? I'm just writing three enums right now, and I'm ending it over here. So this is the way we create an enums, right? We have seen, we know already. And the way we call it, let's say I want to print SOP, and inside of this I have to call the name of the class, so it's a day, and then I have to call the enum, and these are nothing but my enum constant, right? Sun, right? If I call, then I'll get a printout from here, as sun will be getting printed, right? So we know these things. Right now, if I ask you what is this sun is, what is this Monday is, what is this Tuesday is, these are nothing but my enum constant. Okay, enum constant. Okay, these are not a variable, these are not a variable, or these are not you can say something else, right? These are nothing but we can enum constant, and these are behaving like a constructor of this day class. Here is a day class we have. This class, this Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they are not but nothing but representing a different constructor of this class. And by default, all the enum constants are in this case public, and also they are at the same time they are static and final. Okay, this is something we have to remember. By default, all the enums we create inside of the enum class, they are going to be public, static, and final. Because without public or static, how can we access that day dot Sunday, right? If it is not static member, we cannot call them outside of the class, right? Directly without creating an object. So similarly, and also we cannot change the value of those in enum constant, so that's why that those they are final also, right? And definitely they should be public, otherwise we cannot access them, right? So by default, enum, or you can say Java, made your enum constants as public, static, and final, right? So let me go quickly go to the coding part, and I will show you how actually what I wanted to mean here, right? So let me this time let me create a class, and this time I'm going for a, let's say, status. Let's say uh, test status, right? So I'll create a class enum, let's say test status, and then I'll create it as enum. So here I have created one enum with the name of the test status, and I'm adding the constants, let's say pass, first, and field, PILD. These are the status of my test case can be, let's say, skipped, or let's say blocked, right? For now, I'll be going through with these four number of enums constant. let me add them into new lines. So if I try to see, that enums, if you keep your mouse over here, you can see the definition is displaying over here. It is a type of this class, right? Then if something is a type of class, then we can understand that is nothing but a instance of that class, right? Then you see that here is a field. We have created it like only we have given the name, but here it is treating as a parenthesis only, right? So how Java is actually creating when you are creating an enum, that is something we should have understand, right? So we can understand that these are nothing but enum constant, and these are nothing but also type of the class, right? So these are nothing but you can see the reference, so you can say we object of the class. And also we have to understand one thing, that these are the static member and also public. So once the class is loaded into the memory, all this constructor, all this you can say instances are also get initialized. How it is getting initialized means, whenever we have this class and we do not have, we have to know one thing, that whenever we are calling this test status, what compiler does, Java does, they create a default constructor for us. We know that, right? So once the default constructor is created, and this default constructor, what is happen actually implicitly, that default constructor is you can say automatically called. Okay, so let me first define one. Let's say this is for by default constructor, it is working. Let me define one constructor over here. Okay, so we can define it is status, and I'm defining one default constructor which is no argument we are passing. I'm just giving a system out message that inside of the constructor test class test status constructor, right? So this is the constructor I have added. Now let me do one thing. I go and call this class. Let's say I'm creating here one class. Let me go and create a test class. I'll be added there. I'll create a test and then say So inside of this test class, I'll define a main method, and there I just call that one. Let's say this out print, and I'll call test status dot, let's say, past. So I'm calling this one single you can see enum constant. And I, as I said, at the time of this enum class is getting loaded into the memory, that you can say default constructor or the constructor of that class is also getting loaded, right? So that means this whenever this constructor is got loaded, so whenever I'm calling this class, this constructor will also get loaded. And the number of object we are having, the number of enums constant we are having, that many times this constructor will also get executed, right? Means this is nothing but similar to, we can say it is like nothing but we are getting it this way. If I write it down, so we can say test uh, status status, and then you can say past, and then is equal to, let's say, test status. In the backend it is happening like this, status. So sorry, this is nothing but past, let's say. So this is something happening in the backend. If I say field, so this is something happening. So that means for each and every enum constant, my default constructor or the constructor we are defining, that is getting executed for that number of time I am creating the enum constant, right? So I have a 4 constant right now. So this enum this you can see constructor will also get executed 4 number of times. Let me show you here the output. If I run this test now, See here, we are getting that constructor is getting called 4 times, right? The reason I have told you, I have explained. First, each and every member inside of this enum class are by default public, static, and constant, public, static, and final. So because of all these um, instances are static, so whenever this class is got called, the class is got loaded into the memory, all these you can say instances are also initialized. So that's why all this you can see that constructor also get called the number of time you are having your enum constant. I hope this concept is clear, you guys. Now let's move to another option. Let's say I have this constructor and I want to do some parameterization of the constructor, right? What I mean whenever I am calling this enum constant, I want to get some print, I want to get some specific message, right? So that means, let's say when I call this space past, I want to get some message from there. Let's say test passed successfully, right? I can print test passed successfully. Similarly, I can write you can say print statement for the field also. I can say test field kind of things, right? So for script also I can write it like this. So you can say test script. So similar way we can add for block. Add this. I can say test block. Right. Now here you can see now we are getting an error. What is the reason? Reason is because as I said you right, whenever I call this skip nothing but I'm going to create an object, and this is nothing but you can see we are passing an argument. Now passing an argument in the sense in the you can see the constructor I am trying to pass here the argument, but the constructor we have defined over here, it is not expecting you to pass any argument, right? So that is the reason. So let me define one let's say string and say message, right? Now you can see this message, this is the argument which is also being identified by this constructor, right? So these are the sorry enum constant. They are also able to understand that okay, this is something the message that I am going to pass, right? So now let me do one more thing. Let's say I want to pass or I want to print the data, or I want to return the constant value. This is the text. I want to return it to the caller who is calling this enum constant, right? So how can I do this? How can I do this, right? So let me create one more method which is going to return the data and which is going to holding the data, right? So this is nothing but when I say uh, status dot pass, so that means I'm going to create this instance and I am passing writing it like this. So in the sense I am passing that string data inside of this, right? So this is as like as that. So that message I'll be getting inside of this argument, and I can store it into a, let's say, into a class level variable. Let me declare one class level variable, and that is final. Sorry, we no need to mention the type because I told you that by default all the members inside of the enum class are public, static, and they are final, right? Now I do not have to mention it is static or final, but I if I want to make them as a private, I can do so. So if I say private and then say message, right? So this is the, and definitely I have to write down the type of this data. So it is a string type of data, and I have made that as a private. Let me do it as a final also, right? So now we are getting an error because we did not assign the value of this final type of variable that we know, right? So I can assign that value. Let's say after this I can assign this dot message is equal to right. Now whatever the data will be passed from this constructor, that I am going to assign the to this message you can say variable, and that will be stored for each and every enum constant significantly, enum constant privately. So for this past object, this is you can consider an object of test status, it will be having its private message, and this field also it will be having its separate message, right? Now to get this message, right, how can we get this? Now if in this situation, if I go and run my code, let me run this code once again. Still you can see we are getting that past is getting printed, right? We're not getting any the text which is we are assigning there, right? So what we can do, we can return the data whenever this past is going to be called by someone, then we can return the data, right? Or we can create a mechanism so that we can return the customized data to the caller, right? So for that we can return a get method. So we can see um, void and get message. Sorry, it should not be void, it should be string. Let's see, get message, right? And here I want to pass the data. What should I pass? I can return message, right? So that's it. So I have written this you can see method over in this class, and with this method I can you can see return the string that I have written instead of this enum constant, right? Now let me go and I can call that method here. So I can say it, and sorry, I have to mark that as a public also. Let me mark it as a public. Now if I go to there and say get, I'm getting that option to call that method. So you can see now able to call, right? Now let me try to run this code once again. Now here is you can see that we got that message which we have declared there, right? So this is how we can customize our message, which you can utilize anywhere without you can see we are not allowing to change, not allowing to mark any update into the data. So the text is going to be constant for wherever you are going to call this, right? So similarly we can call some other thing. Let's say I am calling the blocked one, right? So blocked. If I run this code from here, you can see now we are getting the message for blocked also and passed also, but the constructor is called once only, right? So we got the 4 instance created already, and only and after that only that message we are calling that is getting printed. I hope this is helpful to you guys, and I hope this concept is also a little bit clear to you. What is enum, how to use enum, you can say customized constructors, how can you pass the customized messages to the callers, right? How to define you can say methods inside of a class, enum constant, enum class, right? Yeah, this video is about this only, guys. Thank you guys, thanks for watching.